Steph and I went hard at Barnes & Noble yesterday and bought obscene amounts of books.
Yeah, and you want to know the really sad part to me?
That it only filled up half your bookshelf.
Not even half a shelf.
I mean, but that's it. You can kind of do what I did with mine, where you like. I love that I have a bunch of like gaps and knickknacks in mine.
I mean, ultimately the end game goal is to have it like completely full. So
of just books.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's probably true. I just like the look of the different knickknacks and plants and like differing like heights of different items. I don't know, just breaks it up a little bit. But you're right. End game. We just collect all the books.
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep books that you don't like?
I mean, I haven't read a book that I don't like in a really long time. So
really?
Yeah.
Like
oh my God, my kid is.
I have chosen ones on my shelf.
Yeah, I do too.
I have a lot of books on here. Not a lot, but I have some books that I definitely did not enjoy that I just kept because I didn't feel like getting rid of them. I feels like what's the word I'm looking for? Sacrilege?
Sacrilegious?
To get rid of books, just in general.
Erin is donating a bunch of her books that she's said she's only going to do like a single read through to me.
Oh yeah?
Like she has the whole Beautiful series and stuff.
Yay!
So I was like, I'll
take it. Well, you got the first two. I feel like before our interview next week, I need you to just read a chapter of Beautiful Bastard, just so you can understand the differences that we were talking about in their writing style.
I mean, girl,
you don't need to read the whole book.
I need to finish Love in Other
Words.
Yeah. I laid into bed last night and I like pulled it out and I was about to read it and then I got sucked into book talk. So. Oops.
Did you download TikTok just for book talk?
I don't remember. I think so because I kept like Lexi and Co kept dropping like TikTok links and it would like not open correctly on my phone. So I was like, fuck, I'll just download it. And then I started looking at skincare advice on there, and that was a whole nother black hole.
TikTok is a black hole. You will absolutely get sucked in, and there is no escape once you're in too deep. And so I told you the reason that I took that picture of the book talk shelf, right?
The book talk shelf? What do you mean? Your shelf?
So when we were at Barnes & Noble yesterday, and I saw Honeymooners on it,
mm-hmm.
Like I can't believe that one TikTok going viral generates that substantial of a difference in book sales. I really want to talk to them about that next week and be like, is that normal? But I sent it to them and they laughed. I was like, you made it. You're on book talk.
The thing
on the book talk shelf.
The thing about it is like, I guess it's like the same like 10 books that people talk about over and over again.
Yes, and then, it is.
So they're I don't know. Definitely book talk has like sway on influencing sales for sure. My kid is being so funny right now.
Is he? What's he doing?
I think he's like really interested in our conversation because he keeps popping up the boob and like staring at me like
what you talking about, Mom? Like, how did he sleep last night?
Oh my God, Hayli.
Good?
Better than good. He pretty much slept through the night.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Chad, if you guys didn't know, Steph and Cohen are sleep training right now. Which is
so we
a
dropped
big deal.
The first feed, right? We dropped a 10:30 feed. And he didn't really stir, so he had like a 7.5 almost 8 hour stretch, and then he woke up twice, but he put himself back to sleep within like 15 to 20 minutes solo. So it wasn't like we didn't even get like a second pop in. We just like popped in once each time, and then he would just put himself back to sleep, and then he woke up at like 6 a.m.
Fucking awesome.
Oh. It was insane.
Were your boobs like maxed out?
They were definitely really full, but it wasn't like I wasn't like in pain, so they weren't like engorged.
How do you feel? Were you up concerned, or did you actually sleep with him?
I slept a lot, probably longer than It's so funny because I think I slept the longest I've slept in a while, but I woke up 10 times more tired, as you do, right?
That's how that works.
But what are you doing, sweetheart? So we're just, new parents, right? So him sleeping on his tummy and smashing his face into his mattress freaks us out. So I went in there because he was dude, he was a corpse. He did not move for 7 hours. No, I was panicking.
I know. Can you see him breathing on the camera?
No. Well, not when he's tummy sleeping. When he's back sleeping, yeah. But not when he's tummy sleeping or side sleeping. He was side sleeping last night. And so I was like, Brennan, he hasn't moved in 6 hours. And usually he at least moves a little bit where you look on the cam and his arms in a different position or whatever.
Twitch or something.
He was just completely still, and I was like, I'm gonna go in there. He's like, don't wake him up. I was like, I don't care, I'm gonna go in there and check. I'm gonna be that mom. So I went in there and I literally put my hand on his back, and he did not move, and I was like, oh my god. So I put my finger under his nose and he was breathing and he whatever, and then I said his name really softly, and he moved, he twitched a little bit and was like and I was like, oh, he's fine. But yeah, it's just it's a lot. I know. It's scary.
I remember the anxiety of when Hazel started sleeping. I told you though, I was like, when they start sleeping on their tummies, it's a whole different world. It's so much. Everyone loves tummy sleeping. Most people do sleep on their stomachs. But the anxiety of SIDS and your baby sleep on their back, it's way safer to sleep on your back. Hazel would fall asleep. We would literally go into her nursery and just try and flip her back onto her back while she was still sleeping to try and get her to go back down so that we wouldn't freak out. And then literally within 10 minutes, she'd be back on her stomach. I'm like,
I don't mind the stomach sleeping. It's the face in the mattress. So we just go in there and tilt his head so that his little face isn't.
Yeah. So he's good. Oh, that makes me so happy. We're getting back to fully rested Steph. I'm here for it. You deserve that.
And then tonight we drop all night feeds. So we'll see how it goes.
Gonna have some full boobies in the morning, girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's exciting. That's very exciting.
I know.
By the way, we should go look at plants sometime this week.
Girl, I can barely keep my plants alive. You want some of mine?
I need a new Monstera since Rick killed mine.
Don't let him hear you say that. He'll be like, I didn't kill anything.
It was already dying. I know. That's exactly what he'll say. It's fine. It's my own fault for propagating it. Okay. Well, Steph and I just randomly started to talk about things. We didn't really do a proper introduction to our podcast, which we still need a name for, by the way.
TK came in and there was a couple people that were trying to help me brainstorm, but I still haven't. I literally called it the Steph and Hayli show today.
But I'm also not opposed to that.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not either.
What do we think about that, chat? It has a nice ring to it, and it's imagine that's what we name our podcast because we couldn't think of anything better, and that's just it.
I'll accept that defeat.
I'm terrible at that stuff. If there's any opportunity for even at game nights, okay, get your team together and pick a name. I'm like, I'm not fucking naming this shit. There's no way.
It's so weird. I suck at this. I'm really good at doing it for marketing things, doing a catchphrase or something for if I'm doing a marketing deck for a game or whatever. But when it comes to me doing something for myself and I'm trying to be punny and witty and smart, I fucking fail. I'm so bad at it.
It's not my forte.
What are we doing, Coco? I'm so confused.
I love naming things. Kate, name our podcast. Help us. HayliNic, Hey Steph, FemBias.
I told them how we wanted to call it Light It Up, and then Brennan clued us into that. It would sound like it was a 420 podcast or a smoking podcast. And they were
Is that a thing? I mean, I'm sure there's podcasts for everything these days, but are there podcasts just dedicated to weed?
I don't know if that's what he was going for, but just light it up in general is yo, let's go light it up,
420 blaze it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which would be sad. It was a great name. I was here for that.
Cohen.
That was almost our podcast name, chat.
Cohen, baby. Hey, look at me, sweetheart. Can you just, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and that's true, Tyler. He makes a good point. Part of what it comes down to is what you want the podcast to look like longer term. Is it always going to be motherhood discussions? I know you'll dabble in book stuff too. I think that's what I said to
my chat. I want it to be over a broad thing that it encompasses an interest of ours or it touches on who we are as people, but it needs to stay broad.
Yeah, because our interests always change, right? Whether it's like our kids growing up, or talking about books, or talking about like what we're gonna talk about today. I mean, it's all
Renee
different
came in
subjects.
and was like, "Is this book club?" And I was like, "Oh, we really do need to incorporate book club back into it somehow." And then,
so how do you want to do that? Do you want to do like a special edition whenever we do book clubs, where we're like special edition episode of our show, book club, or
yeah,
okay.
I think so.
Well, then you heard it here first, chat. The first special edition episode
next week
will be next week. And I was telling chat the other day, I'm like, listen, even if you guys aren't big readers like myself and Steph, please show up and support. Even if you haven't read any of their books, if you don't read romance, I don't give a fuck. This is a big deal and we're really excited for it. So please show up.
Yes. Totally.
We need you all to be here. What if you do it on the first episode of the month or something to make it more predictable? Ooh.
Well, that wouldn't insinuate that I'm able to read a book a month, which
that's a good point.
A little
right
tough
now.
for us, especially,
with Cohen being this age. That's true.
And baby number 2 coming for you
unless
guys.
we picked books you've already read.
That's true. I mean, we do have a backlog of books that we could do, but still. Okay.
We could.
Cohen, you need to go see Daddy. I don't know.
Is he all done?
No, I don't. He really didn't eat as much as I need him to, but he's so distracted by all the lights and everything in my office.
Yeah.
He's not
into it. Mm-hmm. It'll be this time a week from today. Oh my God. It's crazy. So here's how this happened, chat. I am a big Christina Lauren fan. I've read all of their books.
Our whole book club is like our little
yeah, that's chat. Exactly right. One of their books was like, in fact, I think On Honeymooners was the first book that really got me into reading romance. And so I interact with them on Instagram because they have a new book coming out next week called The Soulmate Equation. And so I wanted to get an ARC of it, which if you don't know what that is, it's an advanced reader copy. So you can get a copy of the book early. So I hit him up. I was like, hey,
but just not,
like whose dick do I got to suck to get an ARC of your book? Right. And they kind of like gave me the general idea of how to do it. And I mentioned, I was like, my friend and I have like this podcast that we do and we talk about books a lot. And they suggested it. They were like, well, if you ever want us to come on and talk to you guys, like, here's our publicist email. And I was like, wait, what? I was having a full fangirl moment. It was amazing. And so, damn right, you bet your ass I emailed that girl the next day. And so it's finally here. Because that was over a month ago. That was a while ago that happened.
So we need
before the move. And now next week, here it is.
We need to actually like now reach out and see what their capabilities are as far as like video, or if they're just going to be on audio or what.
No, they're going to be video. They said they'll do Zoom. You're CC'd on all the emails. I don't know if you've read them.
I mean, I've skimmed, but so I don't really know. So we need to figure out the tech side of that because I don't really know how to get their Zoom cameras onto stream. Yeah,
we're going to have to figure that out. I don't know how we're going to do it. Yeah. My book crazy friend won an advanced copy of The Soulmate Equation through a giveaway. No way! Your friend will love it. It's a great book. Their books are all really good, but there's some that are just elite, and we're going to talk about those next week for sure. But yeah, so when part of what we're talking about today, I think has to do with next week, as far as like romance and like love and all these things that we're going to be talking about with Christina and Lauren. And so so a little backstory, chat. I asked Steph, was it yesterday or was it the day before? I think it was the day before we were at the grocery store. Mm-hmm. And I was telling her about, I'm going back even further. I'm pregnant. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm pregnant with a boy. He's due in September. And my last pregnancy with my daughter, I had a complication that required me to be on modified bed rest and on what's called pelvic rest, which means no sex.
For how long?
Last time it was 10 weeks. It was about the same time. And so that's defined as nothing in or out of the vagina, right? So this pregnancy has been substantially smoother, which has been really nice. I haven't had any bleeding. I'll take that win, right? But at my anatomy scan, which was about a month ago, the ultrasound tech said that my placenta was a little low, which for those of you guys who don't know pregnancy terms, the placenta is literally the organ that grows inside your body and attaches itself to the uterine wall. and feeds your baby. And so when it's low, you run the risk of it covering the cervix, which can cause really, really bad complications. It can lead to emergency C-section, severe bleeding. Like there's a lot of problems that can come with it. But mine didn't cover the cervix. It was a little low, and my doctor wanted to check it in 4 weeks, which would be now. So long story short, I get a new doctor out here in Portland and she calls me and she says, yeah, we're not going to see you that soon because not a whole lot will change in that time frame. We're going to check you at 32 weeks instead. Keep in mind, I'm 22 weeks right now. And until then, you need to be on pelvic rest. So I got put on pelvic rest for 10 weeks, both my pregnancies. Like, what are the freaking chances of that? And then, not to mention, I looked at the odds. I don't think I told you this stuff, but the odds of having to be on pelvic rest are 1 in 20.
Wow.
So both times I ended up having to be on it.
Yeesh.
So, yeah, that's really fun. So, hold on. Val, go outside. Vala's just sitting here crying. Now that the dogs can hang out with me, they just sit here and run the stream now.
Does your stream love it though?
Oh God, yes. They love all the animals. They're like cat cam, dog cam. So, you're probably wondering how that transitions into today's topic. It transitions because I got in a fucking fight with my chat when I told everybody about it. I was streaming when the doctor called, and I was like, chat, you're not gonna fucking believe this shit. And the response of everybody when I told them what my doctor said was, poor Rick. Are you fucking kidding me?
As you can tell, Hayli's very passionate about this. So we're sitting. Okay, can I just interject here? We're standing at checkout at a Safeway grocery store, and Hayli's just like, "Can you?" Oh, I'm spitting on myself. Can you believe that? She's like, woman pleasure. And I literally look at her.
Like screaming it in front of the checkout guy.
I look at the mind you, we have two like pretty young, like early 20 something boys behind us buying like cans of fucking Rockstar or whatever energy drink. And the checkout lady, like her eyes fucking widen so huge, and she like looks at you and she looks at me and then she looks down at what she's doing, and she's like trying so hard to be like polite and like like not like seeming like she's eavesdropping.
It shouldn't be taboo.
And
is all I'm saying.
The guys behind us, you could just tell they were like, what the fuck is happening right now? And I'm sitting there like, like, I don't, it is what it is, guys. Just, we're going to keep going now. And Hayli's
She's
just
pregnant. Let her talk.
And Hayli's just like, and we need to normalize. And I'm just like, all right. And she's like, can we talk about this in next week's podcast? And I was like, absolutely. Let's go, baby girl.
So, but it pissed me because we talked about this too. And you were like, well, what about the fact that you're like, you have a complication in your pregnancy? Yeah. Why is the first response, poor Rick?
And not like, oh my God, what does that mean for your pregnancy? What does that mean for your health? What does that mean for your baby? You're just like, the first thing that people think of is, oh man, the husband's not going to get his DW.
He's not getting his dick wet.
Dude.
I was mad. I laid into my chat pretty good on that one. I was like, chat, what about me? I like sex too, Why is it only the man that has to be, he's missing out because he can't get laid? Suddenly I'm not suffering even though I'm the one pregnant and carrying the baby and having a complication and I can't even get laid? The fuck, man? Oh man, it was a whole thing. So it's interesting too, because I feel like this kind of subject, and the response of the cashier is like kind of perfect, right? Because it goes to show that it's this taboo subject about women and sex, and I'm like, why? Like, where does that stem from? Do you know?
I mean, I think it stems from the fact that women were always considered, subhuman men's property. Like, there's just a whole ass subculture for generations before we came along.
Sure.
And I mean,
but I mean, even just talking about it is like a taboo subject, but everybody else can joke about guys getting their dick wet or like doing their thing. But when we talk about girls and their pleasure and sex,
it's like seriously entrenched into our culture. That's why.
So then how do we fix it?
I mean, that's the $1 million question, right? I don't think it's something that you can just fix. I think it's going to take but here's the thing. I have a lot of hope for our kids and you know, even like, what is it? Gen Y? Is Gen Y the ones younger than us? Are we X?
Gen Z.
Z. Oh my God.
It went Gen X and then millennial and then Gen Z.
So we're millennials, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I have a lot of hope for Gen Z and stuff because people are just the cultures to be more woke and tolerant and stuff. And I think women are embracing their sexuality more in general. And you can just see a definite tide turning here. But I mean, think about it. For a long time, women were seen as, you know, sexual objects, property of men, women who were created to bear children. And that's pretty much the extent of it. Like like you think about like prostitution and brothels and stuff like that. Mainly women, occasionally a man or two, but it's primarily the whole business of sex revolves around men getting pleasure from women, not women participating equally in the pleasure.
Yeah. True. I mean, even in porn, right? It's all, I'm not going to say all, but generally speaking, it's geared toward men, right? And what their preference is. And so like, it even takes me back to, I remember so I was in a sorority in college, and during recruitment, there was this girl who everybody loved. They were like, oh my gosh, she's going to be perfect. She'll be a great addition. We'd love to have her as a new member. Like, sounds great. And then, you know, when you're in a sorority recruitment, you're like basically stalking the girls who are coming through. And it was this whole big thing because it came out that this girl she was a stripper. She worked at a strip club. And there were girls in my sorority who were like, well, we can't take her if she's a stripper, and who like weren't willing to bring her into our sorority because of her work. And it's like, I think all of it is kind of tied together. This slut shaming that we do towards women who have any interest in, you know, whether it's just their own comfort in their bodies. Like, fuck, that girl probably made so much fucking money paying, and she was paying for school too. So I'm like, why are we shaming her for something that first of all, she has smoking pot. She looked fucking amazing. Second of all, but just doing something that she clearly is comfortable with. And then, but because like we're not comfortable with it, I don't know. I think that's already changed, right? I think, I forget how long ago college was, but I mean, it was probably like 8 years ago that this happened. I don't know if it would be the same way.
Years ago. I was in college 11 years ago.
Stop it.
A decade ago.
Paula, go lay down. My animals are literally fighting on stream right now. But I mean, I feel like it all kind of ties together.
Yeah, would you
agree with that?
Well, I mean, like we've already seen such a shift with like OnlyFans and Patreon and stuff like that with like lewds and nudes.
That's a good point too.
Sex work has taken a different connotation with, you know, the internet and the accessibility to things, and then giving women the tools to, you know, set their own rates and set their own comfort zones and what they're willing to post and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's a hard it's hard for me to relate in a way because I just don't have the personality to ever accept anything less than what I think I deserve. So I've never been in a situation where like I feel like I haven't, like I wasn't an equal partner in what was happening, you know? And then the whole like OnlyFans and stuff like that. I have such a hard time understanding why people get so bent out of shape over it. Like it just, I don't know.
Well, I want to touch on something you just said before I forget, because I think that it also, it's not just like, we can't just point to men and say, this is your fault, because it's definitely a societal thing, whether you're a man or a woman. And the reason I bring that up is because I think a lot of women don't even know what they deserve, right? Like some women might be like, no, my pleasure matters in bed, right? And being able to talk about it and say what they think that what they want, ask for what they want, or talk about it or engage, right? But a lot of women aren't raised with the mentality of not just like pleasure in general, but also just the general education, because sex is such a taboo subject, or has always been, I should say, especially growing up, right? Like I remember I had one sit down discussion with my mom about sex, and it was when I was really young, and I was innocent and curious, and I had questions, and I didn't know what was considered appropriate or inappropriate. And I asked her a question.
Do you remember what the question was?
No, but I remember her answer made me feel really embarrassed. She was like, that's not your business, and I'm not going to tell you that.
Whoa.
And I felt a lot of shame. And I was like, that moment was very defining for me in, oh, okay, apparently sex is this really private thing, and it's very shameful to talk about, and I'm not comfortable discussing it. So from that point, I never felt comfortable.
You know what that reminds me of?
Talking about it. What?
Bridgerton.
Yeah, I was thinking about Bridgerton like 5 minutes ago, about how poor Daphne, right? She just gets into this, she gets married, and her mom just never prepares her for, she doesn't even know how babies are made. Like she has no idea.
She has to ask like her handmaid lady to explain it to her. Like she has no idea, like that she doesn't even understand the like anatomy of sex. Like she doesn't even understand like what he's doing. Like he doesn't understand like what happens when he climaxes. She has no idea. She has no idea.
No idea. And that's for me, it's a big problem, because it's not even just the lack of education from that point, but eventually people find out about it. And where do they find out from? They find out from their friends. They find out from classmates. They find out from people that probably don't know what the fuck they're talking about. If you're 13 and you're at school and you learn about sex from another 13-year-old, chances are there's going to be a lot more misinformation than there would be if that 13-year-old had a discussion with their parents instead, right? And so you're leading a breeding ground essentially for misinformation, for just in general, like a higher chance of STDs, for not understanding that condoms are to keep you safe from having from getting an STD, not safe from making babies. Like, yes, it works to not have, like, as a form of birth control, condoms are actually way less effective than several other kinds. Yeah. So that's not something that I was ever taught. Like growing up in my education situation, it was mostly, condoms are for safe sex, meaning not having babies, not really talking about not getting STDs. And so in turn, you find even through college, STDs spread so much easier because people aren't as informed. I think all of it is correlated. Oh, for sure. I think so.
I feel like, I don't know. Maybe that's just, I don't know. I feel like definitely in high school, but I feel like in college, I don't know a single friend. I can't recall a single friend who wasn't actively on birth control.
But and then you get into a whole other situation, right? Because everyone's situation is different, whether they have insurance that covers birth control, or if they have a body that can tolerate hormones, or whatever it is. I mean, I was on birth control in high school for sure.
Oh, I walked my ass into Planned Parenthood with my boyfriend, and I was like, you want to have sex? We're going to get myself the pill.
But that's I mean, you and I talked about this, and I've talked about this too. I was not using birth control when I got pregnant with Hazel.
Dude, and I literally look like you're my best friend and you're one of the smartest people I know. And I literally cannot believe you guys did that shit.
That's my point though, is like you would like, it's stupid shit. People are stupid. I was stupid. And luckily my stupidity gave me my daughter, who I'm obsessed with, who literally changed my life. And I don't regret a thing. But the reason that I was not on birth control is, so I was on birth control in high school. I was on Yaz. Do you remember Yaz?
Mm-hmm. Yaz was the one that was supposed to help with what was like PMS and stuff like that too, right?
Okay. Yes, which is a big reason that I got on that specific one, because I would wake up at like 2:00 in the morning in tears because my period cramps were so bad. Oof. And so that was how I got started on birth control. But then my insurance changed. My dad got a new position somewhere else, and I was on his insurance. And then for whatever reason, my birth control was no longer covered the same way. And so I ended up having to pay like triple the amount that I was before.
Birth control is obscenely expensive.
It's wild.
I know. So when I was in high school, I did Planned Parenthood, which like, oh my God, honestly, not to get super political here, but like fuck anyone who thinks that they have the right to take that away from women.
We love Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood fucking rocks.
Literally, like so my parents, the whole other thing. I never had a sex talk with my parents ever. Not once.
Ever, really?
Not that I can recall. My mom seems to think that we did, but I really don't recall. Like my dad thought I was like a virgin when I was a sophomore in college. So I don't know. But yeah, I, walked my ass into Planned Parenthood, get myself on the pill and all that stuff. But I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
How
before?
expensive it was.
Oh yeah.
You were saying
So Planned Parenthood, you get like, especially if you're underage, you get like Medicaid or whatever plan. So it's like fully covered, 100%. You don't have to pay a penny. Right. And I was 16. I didn't have a job. I wasn't willing to talk to my parents about it, but I wanted to be safe about it. So like, thank God I had that option. But then, I became an adult. I got a job. My big girl job had full coverage. So I also didn't have to pay for insurance. And then, when I decided to do the stream thing, when I decided to quit my big girl job with full coverage insurance and become a streamer where I have to pay for my own insurance moving forward, like I had no concept of how expensive it was. And it's like $400 a month if you're out of coverage with no coverage. It's like $400 for one
for birth
pill.
Control?
For like the pill, for like name brand version of the pill.
Wow.
Yes. And like even with like shitty insurance, not full coverage, it can be up to like $75 a month. And if you're like struggling to pay rent, $75 is a lot of money a month, right?
Well, and that's what happened to me. I was in college and I didn't have a job. I was poor as shit. I was living on campus and I couldn't afford $75 a month. I couldn't do it. And so I got off birth control. I stopped taking it because I literally couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Well, so when I literally I quit my job November 22nd. November 15th, I went to my OB and I had a 5 to 7 year IUD put in.
Yes.
So that I could be safe for the next 5 years while I figured my shit out to see if I could make it as a streamer, but not have to worry about being able to afford birth control.
Yep.
So
that's if you guys are not familiar with the various forms of birth control, for those of you guys, if for women, if you are on birth control and you're unfamiliar with IUDs, purely based on what we're talking about, insurance coverage, price, and also the high risk of us losing our own bodily autonomy when it comes to sex and babies and birth control, an IUD is a really smart decision that you should look into.
But
because
do you know how much
there's so many
IUDs
people attacking our reproductive rights that if you do not want kids, having a safe 5 to 7 year IUD put in so you don't have to worry about it, rather than having your insurance coverage revoked out of nowhere and you can't get your birth control pills anymore, is something to really consider.
But here's the thing though. If you have zero insurance, an IUD full cost is like $1,300 to $1,500. Depending on the one that you get. Like that's
wow.
I'm just trying to think of like 20 like 19-year-old me in college. I was working at GameStop, part-time. No, actually I was full-time, but like I was working, a minimum wage job, like $1,300, unheard of. I never had that much money just like sitting in a bank account.
Chilling,
you know what I mean? Like,
spend it on an IUD.
That's insane. And, but like, so the thing is, some IUDs do last like up to 10 to 12 years. So it is really like, if you can save your pennies, it's really the best option for you as far as like longevity and safety. It's like 99% effective and all that. But holy fuck, like that is outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, I just Googled it and it says on Planned Parenthood's website, the cost can range between $500 and $1,300.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the $500 one is like the 3-year one or something like that. Yeah,
I got very lucky with my insurance because, I mean, I'm on Rick's insurance through his employer, which is luckily good. My IUD was completely free.
Yeah, mine was 2 before I quit my job.
Yeah, before you, right. Oh, so I know you have insurance now, but did you have to pay a large sum for your new one?
I'm sure it's I don't like, let's talk about health insurance. It cost me $16,000 to have a baby. So it's somewhere in that.
Shut the fuck up.
Somewhere in that 16 grand. Yeah.
Whoa. So let's rewind for a minute. What does that include?
That includes labor and delivery, 2 days in the hospital, and post-care.
Did it include any of your prenatal coverage? Like going to your doctor and getting all your testing and blood work done?
Yeah. I mean, that factored into the deductible and stuff like that. But then, so I didn't know this until my sister-in-law was probably 3 months before I went into labor. My sister-in-law works in healthcare, and she was talking to me about it. And she goes, so how it works is by default, what'll happen is you have your kid, and then your insurance company, your insurance policy just copies whatever policy you have and gives it to your baby for the first 30 days of its life. So my deductible for myself personally is $8,000 a year. And so they just copied that over to Cohen when he was born. So that's $16,000 before they start covering. $16,000. So it's $8,000 annually out of pocket is what it is. And so total.
And it sucks too, because you literally had your kid at the very end of the year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, that's actually better because the full
for
year,
your coverage,
went into.
But I mean, for him, I guess if you're starting you have to pay all of his birth expenses, and then you have to start all over the following month.
Correct.
Honestly, insurance is a scam. I said what I said.
I mean, it is and it isn't, because look at our friend Amanda, Ava GG, she didn't have health insurance, and she got appendicitis. And she was $40,000 in debt. It was
$40,000 when she had appendicitis.
Mm-hmm.
I remember her going into debt over that, but I did not realize it was that much money.
I think I don't know. She did a bunch of stuff for it to I know she was pretty open about it, but I think you can get some of it excused by the government and stuff like that. I don't really know how it works, but yeah, so when I had my knee surgeries when I was a kid, my parents had great insurance, so it was fully covered, but we got the bill, even though you don't have to pay anything, the hospital still sends you a bill, and it was
right.
I think total for all of my knee surgeries, it was $120,000.
I mean, even us, again, we have pretty good insurance. Hazel giving birth and recovery and all of her expenses costed us $4,000 with full insurance coverage.
Yeah.
And that's astronomical to think about, because especially when you compare it to other countries where it's you have to pay to have a baby.
I know, right?
It's $500 total for any additional expenses, like having a nicer room or certain foods brought to your room while you're recovering, those kind of things you pay for. It's just nuts to me. It makes us look so out of date.
Well, it's just what's crazy to me is most families have kids. Definitely the needle is shifting. More and more couples are choosing not to have kids, and they're choosing to have kids older with the millennial generation. But most people have families, and most people have more than one kid. Now to think about the expense for just birthing your 2 to 3 kids is $30,000. That's outrageous, right? $30,000 is that's a car. That's
it makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder how people who aren't lucky enough to have full-time employment and coverage are able to afford it.
Payment plans, and then they're paying interest out of their butthole for the next 10 years. It's really insane.
That, and I also know that some hospitals are a bit more negotiable. So for instance, this was so weird, but Hazel had tubes put in her ears when she was like 15 months old, something like that. And they told us beforehand, there was like a whole structure of how you could pay it. And it was like the whole hospital coverage was going to be like $980. But they could give us, it was so weird. They're like, we can give you 50% off that. And if you put 50% of that down ahead of time before you come in, we'll waive the remaining 50%. And I was like, what the fuck? So this $1,000 procedure ended up only costing like $250 out of pocket. It was very strange. So I know that a lot of hospitals and medical facilities will work with people to adjust that.
So my understanding is they get a huge runaround from, well, shocker, they get a huge, so hospitals and medical staff get a huge runaround from insurance companies. So a lot of times they don't get paid for like months and months and months. So a lot of the times if you're willing to pay cash to them up front with no middleman, they will give you a better deal.
So funny you mentioned that. So do you remember me telling you when Hazel chipped her tooth? So that we have medical insurance, we have dental insurance. Okay. So she chips her tooth at school. We take her to the dentist and the tooth is dying. It needs to either be pulled or she needs to have a root canal, because otherwise that tooth will decay and it will damage her adult tooth beneath it. So we're like, all right, well, we'll do the root canal. If that's what needs to be done, I'd prefer for her to have that tooth rather than have to pull it, since the adult tooth won't come in for years. So we do the procedure and it gets billed to dental, of course, because we were at a fucking dentist. Steph, this happened how long ago? This happened almost 2 years ago now. I am still fighting insurance about it because dental said they wouldn't cover it because it was an accident. So they're like, oh, well, that's accidental coverage. That needs to go to medical. And medical is like, okay, well, we need the code to bill it. And the dentist is like, we don't have a fucking medical code for you. We only have dental codes. We're a fucking dentist. And so they say, okay, well, claim denied. Dead ass. I have been on the phone. This is making me mad because I know I need to call them back after I'm done talking to you. With between them and Hazel's dentist trying to figure this shit out. It's a $400 bill. Like ultimately, I'm not paying it out of principle at this point because I know it should be covered. Like my kid chips her tooth, goes to a dentist to get her tooth fixed, and you're telling me it's not going to be covered? What? So this runaround is like insurance MO. It's like their total staple for who they are, which is why I think insurance is a scam because of shit like this.
How do we start talking about female pleasure and now we're talking about health insurance?
Because we got into sex and then we got into sex talks and then we got into IUDs, we got into medical. It's quite the transition. But I think this is actually really good to talk about because a lot of people may not understand how insurance works sometimes, and that if you don't, like, so many people benefit from their jobs in the sense that they get security with insurance through that.
Yes.
And that's a big reason people stay in jobs that they may fucking hate, is because they have coverage, especially if it's something that's considered pre-existing, and that if they leave, they won't have coverage for that anymore. Like,
I mean, that's what my mom did when I was a kid. She would work in the school district so that she, because, you know, schools have government insurance, which is full coverage. And so she was just a stay-at-home mom, and she was like, well, if I work part-time, we can have like the best of the best insurance and I'm bored. So that's what she would do. And yeah, it's crazy.
It's just it's the fact that that's the way that we have to do a runaround in order to have security in our like health is wild to me. It's all crazy. The dental, and the worst part about this shit with Hazel is that they literally gave a code. They were like, okay, we had a representative at the insurance company that we were working with. I was on a 3-way call with the insurance company and Hazel's dentist, and they were all figuring it out. And they were like, okay, I need this. I've proven, yes, I've talked to somebody over at dental. I've talked to somebody at medical. This can be covered. These are the documents I need. We'll figure out the code for you. And then they still deny it. Ugh. It's stupid. I will fight this till the day I die. I'm not paying that $400 just because I know it's supposed to be covered. What's the point of when is it not an accident? That's the point of insurance. It's for things that you don't expect to happen.
Not dental. Dental is
even
all
pregnancy.
Dental is all about preventative care.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was probably another reason that dental wouldn't cover it. So get this, Alyssa works, our friend Alyssa, right? She works as an HR representative at her company. She had to tell one of her pregnant coworkers that she didn't qualify for paid maternity leave because insurance considered her pregnancy a pre-existing condition.
Excuse me?
Yep. Alyssa was she was about to throw up. She was so upset about it because she spent 3 days battling with the insurance company to find a loophole for this woman. And the only way that you would get paid maternity leave in that situation is if you had planned for the pregnancy and asked before you actually got pregnant.
Shut the F up.
I know. Move to America, guys. It's great here.
Well, yeah.
Imagine being told that your pregnancy is a pre-existing condition, which disqualifies you for paid maternity leave. Imagine.
No, I can't.
I know.
I'm having a hard time still like stomaching the fact that it costs like an obscene amount of money just to have a baby.
I know. I mean, you had to pay quadruple what I paid.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, like I'm not covered. Like you had Rick's insurance. Like Brett and I both pay for our own health insurance, and that's the other thing. Like, so new parents, brand new, never had a baby before. We are in the hospital, and the doctor comes in, or our nurse, whatever, comes in, and they're like, so we usually recommend that parents stay for the second night. You're welcome to go home if you guys are feeling comfortable, but most new parents have a lot of questions. It's your first time ever with a baby. We want to like make sure you're like PPD, like it doesn't manifest right away. Like we want to be here to help you guys. So we really encourage new parents to stay for the second night. And so my insurance called and they were like, sure, but we're going to check you out as a patient. So the baby's still a patient and you still get like food and all that stuff, but they wouldn't cover like, so if you check out as a patient, they can't give you medicine anymore is like the criteria. So, I mean, I was very minimal. I was on literally ibuprofen and Tylenol at that point, but I just had a fucking baby and my nurse had to not sneak me, but like she gave me like my final dose. She gave it like a half an hour or like 45 minutes early so that she could give it to me before midnight, before I was checked out as a patient. Isn't that insane?
Wow.
Isn't that absolutely insane?
But see, that's literally the way it revolves around here. Is it's all about insurance.
Otherwise, I would have to pay for a
affecting your
whole nother
healthcare.
night. Yeah, I'd have to pay for like full costs out of pocket for a whole nother night. And I was like, I was feeling fine. So it didn't like at the end of the day, it wasn't a big deal like for me. But I was like, what if I wasn't? What if I was like dying? What if I had like the worst postpartum and I was like in so much pain or something, which happens to most. I'm just like a freak of nature. So I didn't have any pain. But like most women experience pretty severe pain after pushing a baby out of them. And I was like, you can't even give me Tylenol? Like, what the fuck?
Just that either. Like, this is a stigma, I think, in general about childbirth, is that people think it's just something you recover from and then you're done. Like, there are countries, especially Scandinavian countries, from what I understand.
Oh, so good.
So good. Like, they literally
9
take
months of paid maternity leave.
I think the full year. I think it's a full year of paid leave. Not to mention, like, postpartum, they literally will send somebody to your house to check on you and see how you're recovering. You spend as much time as you need in the hospital. Like, what people don't understand, here's a fun fact, chat. When you have a baby, there is a wound, okay? A literal wound inside of the uterus the size of a dinner plate. And it's from where the placenta detaches after the baby is born. And so that wound needs time to recover. It needs time to literally, like, this is going to sound gross, but I'm going to say it. Needs time to like scab over and heal, just like what if it were on your skin, on your arm, on your leg, right? And so people, for whatever reason, unless you've actually experienced childbirth, it's like this odd mentality that like the baby's out, you're all done. You're done being pregnant. You're done. Like there's nothing else that happens. Your body you'll snap back. You'll be back to normal tomorrow. Like the baby's gone, so the pregnancy's over, right? It's like, holy shit.
Not even that. Like, so my sister-in-law went back to work 6 weeks after she had her baby because she didn't get paid maternity leave for longer than 6 weeks, and they weren't in a financial position to like, you know, just take time off. So she had to just suck it up and go back to work. Isn't that insane?
Well, and that was the hardest thing for Rick and I when Hazel was born, because his company does not offer paid paternity leave at all. They offer, I mean, they have to legally offer paternity leave based on like legal stuff, but there's no paid involved. And I'm a streamer. Like Twitch doesn't offer maternity leave for moms. There's nothing like that. It's just a matter of, okay, I'll save up the best that I can before I have to stop streaming for a little bit. But I wanted to take 1 month. Like that was, I wanted 4 weeks to recover, to adjust to being a mommy, to learning about my baby, to adjusting to this new chapter in my life, to have my husband to help me. And so Rick and I both took a full month, both of us unpaid, just like you and Brennan did the same thing.
We did 2 months.
And so like for us, that was really hard because, you know, we weren't in a position where something like that didn't come with its hardships. Like we purposely planned for it as best as we could. But the fact that people have to choose between staying at home and recovering and being with their baby and raising this tiny human that clearly needs you and paying for groceries is just batshit fucking crazy to me.
I mean, my community knows, Brent and I sold out so hard last year just so we could have that like sense of security, so we could take time off to be new parents. And I mean, it's tough, man. And even now, like you and I talked about this like recently. Like you're like, I really feel much better seeing you go through the same thing that I went through like with Hazel, but it's a fucking struggle. It's so hard. It's so hard to like feel like you have to decide. And you know, my channel is not anywhere near where it was last year, and I just kind of have to accept that. I have to accept that my career's gonna take a back seat for a while, and you know, eventually hopefully I will have enough time to build it back up. But then kid number 2, like I'm gonna have to do it all over again. It's just really,
that's exactly what happened.
It's really hard.
My channel took a massive hit when I got, not even just when Hazel was born, but when I got pregnant, because I suffered from severe morning sickness and I couldn't stream for weeks because I was so sick. And then even when I had my hemorrhage, like I was on modified bed rest where I couldn't be out of bed for very long. And so I took time off then. And then in the 3rd trimester, when I was huge and wanted to just do nothing but lay down, right? I took a lot of time off there. And then the month with maternity leave, I mean, when you take time off streaming, no matter what the reason, it's going to affect your numbers.
Well,
it just will.
Like I had to completely change my time slot. Like for 7 years or whatever, 5.5. I don't know how long I've been streaming shit. I don't even remember anymore. For a lot of years, 6 years now or whatever, 7 years. Oh my God, I'm so old. 7 years, you know, I was a night streamer, 6 p.m. to 4 in the morning, right? So like a lot of my, like a substantial amount of my community were West Coast and they were Australian viewers, right? And now I'm supposed to be streaming like 8 a.m. to noon. That's complete, like West Coast, they're just not up that early. It's a bunch of kids, right? They're either in school or they're at work. And then the Aussies it's like 2 a.m. for them. And so now I have to build this like European Eastern West or East Coast audience. And it's just like, and right now it's even scarier to do it because fucking Twitch is so saturated. There's 1,000,001 new awesome streamers who are streaming for 18 hours a day and who are completely dedicated and whatever. And I'm over here trying my best to get my 2 hours in, you know? It's just fucking hard. It's hard.
And I really do feel a lot of validation with that because ever since then, it's like, again, geez, Orion, really? It's a mixture of like kind of what I had said about finding the balance between, working and being a parent. And it took me such a long time, Steph. It took me so long to find that balance. Years. And until then, it was like I went from streaming, 6 to 8 hours a day before I got pregnant to like 4-hour stream was a good stream for me. And it was, if that happened 3 times a week, I was really happy with that. And for years, like literally truly, Steph, it's been since I've seen you with Cohen, I've felt so guilty because I was like, I should be able to do more than this. I should be able to do it all. I should be able to stream 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, spend time with my kid, still be a mom, still be a wife, still be clean up the house, do all the things, take care of the dogs, take care of like all these things in my head. I felt like I had to do everything. And now having, seeing you do it and be such a great mom to Cohen and also kind of have that same internal battle. It's like, okay, well, I want to stream, but like, bro, we're sleep training my kid.
Yeah.
Like, or my kid is still nursing 3 times a night and I'm exhausted and I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe I don't just suck. Maybe it's just really fucking hard for parents to have to do, especially breastfeeding moms to be able to do it all.
And then the like disparity between you and your partner too, where like, Rick still gets to walk away. I mean, not that that's his intention, but realistically, he gets to go to work for 8 hours and he gets to have grown-up conversations with his coworkers and he gets to like, have uninterrupted moments with himself and his thoughts and his PC and whatever the fuck he's doing. And, we're over here like struggling at night, struggling in the mornings. Like for a long time, I was getting maybe an hour of sleep at night. And then I would get all of my sleep when Brennan would wake up with Cohen and leave the room. And then I would get like 2 to 3 hours. And that was specifically my stream time. So like I got a 5-hour block, right? 3 hours I would spend I was like fucking micromanaging. 3 hours I would spend trying to sleep. Mm-hmm. And then I'd get up at 10:30 and be like, okay, if I turn on stream now, I can stream for 2 hours. And like at least my stream turned on, and I get those 4 resubs, and then I did my job for today the best that I could. So and then there was a couple stretches there where I was doing that 2 hours in the morning, and then I'd stream for 3 hours at night when he'd go to bed. So I'd stream from 7 to 10 because I'd have to feed him anyways. And then I would feed him, and then he'd wake up like 20 times middle of the night, and Brennan would have to wake up in the morning. So I'm the one taking care of him at night. And then I'm just so tired. There's just not much. I don't have much more to give. I was going to say,
how did that work for you when you were doing that?
What?
Streaming in 2 hours in the morning and 3 hours a night. Like, how did you feel did you feel it was pretty, like, was it just too much? Or did you like that? I mean, how did it feel for you?
It was nice to see my nighttime community back in the chat. It's nice to see those numbers again because my community is entrenched in that time slot, right? So like right now I have 126 viewers in the morning and I'd have like 300 to 400 at night, and you're just like that as a streamer too. I know that like doesn't sound like much, but that's a huge
it's a big difference. I also think people tend to like dismiss or I guess dismiss probably isn't the right word, but directly correlate numbers with how successful someone is, because that is not the way it works, chat. When it comes down to it, you can build a really successful community and lifestyle on 1 to 200 viewers. You don't need to have like 1,000+ viewers to do this full time. And so like that might not seem like a huge difference to a lot of people, but it that it's something that makes it work for sure. Like these numbers, you can live off of it, but having, triple that or quadruple that makes a difference for sure. So I know what you mean. And I wish I could do that. Like, and the biggest thing for me, truly, it was daycare.
Yeah.
Like daycare was what really allowed me to get back into my work. And I remember it was when Hayes was 11 months old, and I was like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready. She's ready. She took a bottle fine so I could send her to school with breast milk. Like I was ready to get back to work. Yeah. And
how old was she?
That helped me a lot.
A year? Is that what you said?
She was 11 months. She was just shy of a year when we enrolled her.
So Brennan and I actually had this conversation like yesterday, but we're talking about finding potentially seeing how everything goes. But at least having the conversation of potentially having a nanny come to the house for like 3 to 4 hours. So it would just give us, because right now, okay, here's the issue, right? Brennan has to hit stream hours, right? He has, he's basically like a job for him right now. He has to hit an X amount of hours a month. And so when I ask him, hey, Bren, I'm having a really good stream. I'm really vibing. I didn't get to stream for the last 3 days. Can we push your stream back so that I can stream for another 2 hours? What that does is it makes it so daddy can't do bath time and daddy can't be there to put him to bed and daddy can't do all this stuff.
Because he has to stream longer.
Because we're right now we're trading off stream times, right? We can't ever stream at the same time to like do what we need to do. So even if it's just a 3-hour block to have someone come and like help out, it would allow me to stream how I need to stream without affecting Brennan's job so that he can be present for all the times that we want him to be present, like for dinner and bath time and bedtime. It also allows like us to do things for ourselves. For instance, Brennan really wants to go to the gym, but right now, feasibly, he doesn't have any time. Unless he's going like in the middle of the night to the gym to work out, he can't do it. So, but this having like a 3 to 4 hour buffer where someone else is helping allows him, like while I'm streaming, a nanny's watching baby, he can go like an hour before his stream starts, go to the gym, take care of himself, come home, start on time, and still get done with his stream when we want him to get done with his stream. And it was just like helps immensely. But like even like hiring a nanny or like going to daycare has such a weird stigma behind it too, especially from like, I guess, more traditional mindsets where it's like the mom needs to stay home with the baby, and like if someone else is raising your kid for you. And I think that's so crazy. Like I remember when I was a little kid, like 6 years old, I lived in an apartment complex and there was like a shit ton of kids there, right? And so the girl that lived across the street from me, I became best friends with her, and her mom was a single mom and was an extremely successful author. And so she had long hours and she had a nanny. And like I would just remember like all my other friends, even at that age, kids are aware of stuff more than you think they are. But I remember hearing my other friends' parents like talking about it. Like, I can't believe like poor Kara is being raised by a nanny and like shit like that. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, what is this?
Disrespectful. Well, I mean, I told you my dad said the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so for those of you guys who don't know, my dad, I've called him out on this. He would not be surprised at all to hear me talking about this. But my dad has shamed me for Hazel being in daycare since I put her in, because he is of the exact mentality that Steph is describing, where he thinks that the baby should be at home with the mom and the mom should raise the kids and that's their role. And don't get me wrong, my dad is extremely supportive of streaming and the fact that I've been able to make a living off of it and this is my job and working and all that. He doesn't think it's like women belong at home. But he thinks that I should be able to do it all. He thinks that I should be home with Hazel all day long, be a mom to her during the daytime hours. And then when she goes to sleep, whether she's napping or she's down for the night, then I should be working. And then that's when I can do my job. And anytime I would mention taking her to school, it would be, he would always have some kind of comment to make about how subjecting her to getting sick, about how it was so like so many kids, like just so many different little comments about her being in school. And it got to the point where I was like, I called him out several times. I was like, Dad, I can't stream at night. Okay. There's only so many hours in the day. So what you're expecting me to do is wake up, be a parent from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., put my kid down, and then stream from 7 to midnight and just have no life. All I am is a mom and an employee. That's all I do. Like, and not to mention, just like your community is an evening community, my community is a daytime community. Like most of my viewership is like East Coast, EU with some West Coast, depending on how late in the afternoon I stream. And so I'm like, Dad, the people who watch my stream aren't on at 8 p.m. at night. 8 p.m. is 4 a.m. in the UK. They're sleeping. That's not a thing. Yeah. Unless you want me to go until 1 a.m. and then they wake up and it's a morning stream for them. And so it took it took until really recently for him to finally understand that, okay, it took until Hazel stopped napping. And I was like, I literally can't stream during the day. My time slot's during the day. I can't stream at night. And so he was like, okay. And he finally gave it up. But there's a very, very large group of people who feel the exact way that you just described, as far as it's the traditional mindset. The mom should be at home with the kid and raising the babies. And he even shamed my mom. My mom put me in daycare when I was a kid. And he would anytime he would talk shit about my mom, it was, oh, she put you in daycare when you were 6 months old, or like some kind of snide comment. And I used to judge her for that. And now I'm like, yeah, she probably put me in daycare at 6 months old because she needed a fucking break. Because this shit is not easy.
It just comes back to the whole, like, people judging people for, like, just take care of your own life. You know, if you are like privileged, I use that word on purpose, enough to like have the time, money, and, you know, sanity to do it all on your own, raise 5 kids happily by yourself in your own home, like, congratulations, you're awesome. But just because a mom puts her kid in daycare so she could contribute to half of the financial income for their family to do what's best for their family, congratulations, she's awesome too. Like, you don't, like, who the fuck, like, stop judging other people. It's so, like, so, and that's the other thing, nannying though, specifically, like, right now, I just don't feel comfortable with daycare and stuff like that because he's so young and the pandemic's still a thing and we can afford it. That's what it comes down to. Brennan and I can afford it. You know, if you're going to be mad at us because we make enough money that we can afford a nanny, then fuck you. But we can afford it. And I want to be able to still be there with my kid on like daily basis because he's still so young to me. But I like having that help and having that ability to just like, you know that my kid's in the other room, and if I need to go breastfeed and whatever, I can walk away and do it, but it doesn't affect Brennan and it allows him to get what he needs to be done so that we can be a family unit at the end of the day. That's so much more important to me. So much more important to me. So
yeah. And I also think it's important to like make sure that your kid is in the right environment. If you start vacuuming while I'm streaming, I swear to God, I'm doing my podcast. Get out of here. Rick's being really annoying. Like, I think it's important to make sure that whether it's in your house, what? Hold on. What? Okay. Down. You can vacuum downstairs. Yeah, that's fine. Like the reassurance of knowing that your kid is in an environment that you're comfortable with is huge. And so whether that's in a daycare that you're comfortable with or in your home, and you know that you can pop in anytime and you see how the nanny is teaching your child or interacting with your child, all those things are huge and a really, really big part of putting your child in some kind of childcare position. And, you know, Steph knows this, but like the school that Hazel was in back in Arizona, I really wish that we had taken her out sooner than we did, because now that she's in a school that is like night and day different and is much more geared to the way that we parent her, her overall reactions and personality and the way that she speaks it's astronomically different. Yeah. And kids are very much a product of their environment. And so regardless of where it is, whether it's an in-home daycare, a nanny that comes over, or in like a traditional daycare setting, your kid's going to be spending a lot of hours in that situation. And so making sure that it's somewhere that you and your partner, or whether you're a partner or not, like you guys feel comfortable with your child being, is a really big part. So I love the idea of you guys getting a nanny, especially since Cohen's still so little and you're breastfeeding and you want to have that time to yourself. Like, if anyone gets it, it's me. I wish we hadn't waited as long as we did to start some kind of childcare program with Hazel. We still don't have a babysitter. We've never had an actual like babysitter that comes to our house. That was what you and I said, right? Sometime this year we're gonna find one.
Like soon. Like we should look in the next month for someone. Okay. Because ultimately, you know, you and Rick need to be able to do stuff solo, like sans Hazel, before second baby gets here, because, you know, life's about to be even more crazy and different. You guys need to like invest a lot of deposits into your marriage bank before that happens, and having like someone you can trust for like 2 to 3 hours. And even like we talked about this the other night, like it can totally be when Hazel goes to bed. You just need someone in the house, right? You can't just leave your kid in bed while you go off and have some dinner. So
exactly.
Like,
and not even just that, but like even now, right? The house is psycho because there's still so many boxes that need to be unpacked. Like the nursery is just all boxes right now. Our closet still has 3 boxes, our garage, you name it. And Rick and I had a big talk about this the other night because I was like, I'm the type of person when my life is chaos, I get overwhelmed and I need to clean it. Like I can live in mess to some degree, but when I'm literally navigating my way around boxes that are still not unpacked, it like fucks with my head. And so but the problem is that Rick and I are like literally from the second we wake up in the morning, we are on all day until Hazel goes down. Because, Rick wakes up at 5:45 and goes to the gym with Vern. I wake up at 6 with Hazel and I make her breakfast and I make her lunch for school, and then I get her dressed and like I do all these things. And then the second she's at school, I'm getting myself ready to work. I work until I pick her up from school. So basically the problem is that by the end of the day, which is the only free time that we would have to be able to do these things, there's just not time. Like we're exhausted. All we want to do is sit there and go to sleep. Like Rick said last night, he's like, babe, I could literally go to sleep when we put Hazel down. Like we're exhausted. And so neither of us has the energy to be able to do those things. So having childcare, even if it's like, whether it's a babysitter or, whatever it is, just to help with those kind of situations. So on a weekend, we can say, hey, Hayes, so-and-so is coming over and, Daddy and I are going to do some stuff around the house while you hang out. That would give us the breather to be able to be like, okay. And that was something we knew we were giving up moving here because that was Rick's parents. Like they gave that to us. And, mind you, it wasn't what we originally hoped for as far as how often, like the original thought was when we moved to Arizona, it was going to be like they were with us all the time. But there's no question that they were a substantial help to us when we needed it. So, I really disagree with the idea of shaming people who use babysitters and childcare. And people need lives. We need breaks. We need to do adult things when you can't expect moms, especially, to be at their full capacity when they don't have an opportunity to fill their cup.
Well, I mean, and like, it's one thing to understand that conceptually. It's another thing to experience it yourself. Like for those of you who aren't parents yet, or for those of you in the chat who are parents and you don't take the time to do this for yourself, like there is everything's very new to me, right? So I'm 120% mom right now, like being the best parent I can be in every way, sacrificing everything that I can to sacrifice for him and all this stuff. But like even the moments where I force myself to take a step back, to pause and take a fucking bath or a shower or whatever, like, and allow myself those 5 to 10 minutes to like screw my head back on, like the result in me as a parent is astronomically different, right? Unfortunately, most of us have enormous baggage from our childhood in whatever capacity that is, right? And a lot of the time that baggage comes from parents who were just stretched too thin or didn't have the patience and snapped at you, or you guys were going through financial struggles and you didn't know how to balance it. Whatever the case may be, when your parents didn't take the time to fill their cup, you suffered as the child from it. And it's so incredibly important to find the time or the money or whatever the schedule or the budget in somehow to give yourself 5, 10, an hour, a night, a weekend, whatever it is, to go do what you need to do to be you as a person, you as a human, you as an individual outside of parenthood, to like feel good about yourself again, so that you can, when you come back, you can be the better parent. You can be.
That was like the biggest struggle with putting Hazel in daycare for me, was because I couldn't justify spending the money on it.
Yeah.
Like the financial aspect of it, I think is a really big reason that some parents don't do it, because daycare is fucking expensive.
For sure.
Hazel's new daycare is $1,100 a month. And that's standard.
For sure. But I mean, there are ways that you can budget $50,
for sure.
and find a weekend where you hire a babysitter for 4 hours and you and your partner go to a dinner, or
which is shitty too, because it's like this, almost like the stigma that it's like wasteful to spend money on those things when it's not. Like, oh, you're going to go be frivolous and get a massage. Like, no, I'm actually going to get a massage because I need a break and my mental health could really benefit from this. Like, you're not being frivolous by doing something that's considered self-care to make you a better parent.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, I don't know, Cohen's like 3 months and shit was really hard. And I literally texted a picture to Hayli and I'm like, look, I put the baby in the fucking lounger. He's sitting right here. I've got eye contact, but motherfucker, I am in the bath right now. And if he fusses, I'm just going to sit here and close my eyes for a little bit. And I'm going to take 5 minutes. And I took a scalding hot bath, and Cohen is a goddamn champion, and he's the best baby ever. Cause he just was totally content and sat on the bathroom floor on his little boppy playing with his little toy, and he let mom take like a 15-minute bath, and it was like world changing. Like, I got out of that bath and I like put some sweats on, but I had a clean face and I didn't stink, like, and I had clean hair, and I was just like, oh my God, I can do this. I'm a person again. Like, I can totally do this. So
I remember that so clearly.
Yeah.
I miss hot baths, by the way.
Oh, I know. Lukewarm baths are just not the same.
It's not the same at all. And I don't have like a dedicated bathtub anymore in the new house.
Mm-hmm.
So my only option would be to use Hazel's bathtub, basically. And I'm like, I'm way too pregnant for that shit. I'm like, nah, I'm good. If I can't even have it scalding hot, it has to be lukewarm and it's in a small bath, I'd rather just not. I'll find something else to do instead.
If you ever need to borrow my bathtub, you're welcome to come over.
Oh, girl, you think I won't? Your bathtub looks insane, too.
Amazing.
Steph's bathtub is gorgeous.
It's like
your entire bathroom is like my dream.
Thank you.
Even your guest bathroom. I'm always there and I'm like, God, I love it in here. So much room for activities.
I know. There are like, the guest bathroom is an obscenely huge bathroom for a guest room. But I guess it's not meant to be a guest room. It's meant to be like a
mother-in-law suite, right?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So,
but still, every time I'm there, I'm like, oh, I feel so pampered. I love it here.
We treat our guests right. Okay.
It's true. We actually had our grout sealed yesterday. I forgot to tell you.
Oh.
So now we're
exciting.
Officially. Yeah, no, I think we're officially moved in. No, once we get the window coverings, then we'll be moved in.
Yeah. So if you take hot baths, it elevates your body temperature too much for baby to be okay. So
it's a risk of miscarriage if you take super hot baths,
because baby's core temperature will go up with yours. So you just got to be safe with that.
I wonder if there's a way to tell what a fetus's core temperature is while they're still in utero.
I don't know.
I'm actually really curious about. Yeah, there's a lot of really random things that you can't do when you're pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
That you wouldn't think about.
So many.
Like no soft cheeses, no hot baths, no like burgers can't be cooked medium rare. It has to be cooked medium.
At least.
Yeah, like cold lunch meat you're not supposed to have. I don't know. I talked to Steph about this a couple of days ago where I was like, I think just depending on your situation, you need to just use your better judgment on what you do and what you don't do. Because everybody's different.
So soft cheeses is not really a thing in the US, because the whole thing with soft cheeses is they can't be unpasteurized, but the United States won't allow you to sell cheese in the supermarket if it's unpasteurized. So
really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I learned that. So almost everything, if you look on the labels, they're all pasteurized cheese. But like, for instance, you can't have cold pressed juices though, because the vegetables and the fruits that they use in juicing are unpasteurized, or they're lightly pasteurized, and that's like not considered safe or whatever. And at least there's a workaround with deli meat, because you can put it in the microwave and like nuke it and then you eat it. But yeah, there's just a lot of weird ones.
Yeah, even my Jimmy John sandwich I got like a couple weeks before we left. I was like, I want to eat this right now so bad, but I know I should put it in the microwave.
Yeah.
So you don't eat it cold. What other weird things are there? I should know. I mean, obviously no drinking, no smoking, the basics.
You can't have sushi not just because of the bacteria risk, but because of the mercury risk with like tuna and stuff.
Well, no, there's certain fish that have the mercury issue, and it's like I don't think tuna is one of them. I think it's like tuna, random shit,
no,
like swordfish.
Tuna's one of them because primarily they use Japanese source tuna for sushi, and Japanese tuna is supposedly higher in mercury content.
Not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was one thing that I was like,
because you're not even supposed to have you're not even supposed to have canned tuna, like legitimately. They're like,
yeah, I'm not a big tuna person either way.
They're like,
it was
limit your canned tuna
like,
intake to like 1 can a week, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's so random.
1 can of tuna a week.
Yeah.
Does anybody just regularly eat canned tuna, or they have to limit it? Then again,
Some
people probably say
really,
the same thing about lox.
Some people really liked tuna, like tuna sandwiches and stuff.
Oh, I guess that's true. I was just thinking of like opening a can of tuna and just eating it with the floor.
No.
I forgot people use it for
You can't have runny eggs. That was a tough one for me. Runny eggs. Yeah.
Dude, shout out to Gordon Ramsay. Him and his scrambled eggs recipe have saved me when it comes to the runny eggs. I fucking love runny eggs.
Me too.
They're so good. And so having an alternative that I know I love, if not more than that, has been really nice. I think those are the hardest ones. Runny eggs and raw fish. I love raw fish. Like sashimi. Oh my God.
Yeah, me too. I
fucking love sashimi. And you know what's helped me a lot? So guys, Steph got me a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer and I drink one every night. It's the best being able to just like hang out and act like I'm drinking. And because I'm one of the few people that likes beer.
Coffee. That's the other thing.
Oh, yeah.
You can only have 250
I think they raised it to 300 last I checked.
My OB said 250, so.
Yeah, it depends on your OB. That's true. But still, that's like a cup and a half.
1 cup. For me, it was like 1 cup of coffee. I looked because Starbucks, the app allows you to see how many caffeinations are in your coffees, and so it was like 1 grande coffee had like 200, and so then there was like 50 milligrams if I wanted chocolate or something else, because chocolate has caffeine in it and stuff.
That's right. Things you don't even think about have caffeine.
Like, yeah, a lot. Crazy.
Are you still allowed some tea? Yeah, it's the same thing. It's with like caffeine, right?
Right.
So if you have like a tall Starbucks coffee, then you can probably have and plus tea is like 20% the amount of caffeine compared to coffee, right?
Well, I'm fucking stupid and I just didn't realize that cold brew is so substantially more caffeinated. I just thought cold brew was like literally like an iced coffee and they just like made it differently. I didn't realize that it has so much more caffeine in it. So my dumbass is drinking, it was only like 3 times, but still I had like a cold brew. And then someone in my chat or something was like, that's like 4 times the amount of and I was like, what? And I
wasn't it nitro cold brew?
No, I didn't go nitro.
It was just regular? Yeah. Oh, okay.
And it was like a grande cold brew has like 600 milligrams of caffeine or something stupid. And like just a regular iced coffee has like 200. So, it's 160.
The average of all cold brews comes to about 26 milligrams of caffeine per fluid ounce. It says this puts it directly in line with hot brewed coffee. That can't be right.
I don't know. I went by the Starbucks like app that gives you.
Oh yeah.
Like
so, according to Starbucks' own product information, a grande nitro cold brew contains 280 milligrams of caffeine in a 16-ounce cup.
This is 16 fluid ounces.
I mean, it's still considered extreme. Like when you look at it, it says caffeine level 280 milligrams, caffeine strength. They literally have the word extreme. But if you're allowed 200 a day, going 80 over isn't the end of the world if you weren't doing it on purpose.
Huh. Where did I maybe?
Yeah, even on the Starbucks website, that's what it says.
Here, I'm clicking it right
there. You
now.
Go, girl.
280.
You didn't go too hard.
Whew. I mean, yeah, I guess not.
Chat.
But I think iced coffee is like substantially less. Yeah, a grande iced coffee is 165.
Yeah, that's why that first one couldn't have been right.
And then I was also like a sweet tooth crazy person when I had my pregnancy. So I was eating a lot of chocolate.
Were you?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, what were your cravings and stuff?
I didn't get cravings, not real ones. The only thing I really wanted was sweets, like desserts. But it wasn't like a full craving. Like the way that my mom and other women have like described a craving is like you want it so bad that like your day is ruined if you don't get it. Like it's just like you just have to have it. Like you really want it, right? I never had that feeling with any food in particular. I wasn't like, I need a fucking cheeseburger or I'm about to like have a meltdown. Like it was never like that for me. I was like, oh, I could use a sweet. I could have some tiramisu right now. That sounds so good. But then if I didn't get it, didn't have like, it didn't ruin my day. I was just like, oh man.
Yeah. I had one moment like that. And it was when I wanted cheese grits. And I made Rick drive me around. Not kidding, Steph. It was like 2:00 in the afternoon. And I was like, oh my God, I want fucking cheese grits. And I made Rick drive my ass all around Scottsdale trying to find a breakfast restaurant that was still open that wasn't out of cheese grits. It was so, and I didn't fucking get them. No. I was so upset. I finally, like 2 days later, got my cheese grits. I was so angry. So it could be worse. That was the one time that I had like an aggressive craving. But my appetite has just changed a lot too. Like Hazel, all I wanted to eat was lox bagels. This pregnancy, I feel like I've eaten a lot more fruit, a lot of salads, a lot of like fresh stuff, which is pretty nice. So I don't know what like power in the universe decided to bless me without the intense cravings I had the first time around, but I'd like to say thank you, because I felt like all women who craved salads were lying, and now I know they're not. So I feel a little better about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't that bad though. We'll see though. I was telling chat earlier how I'm getting better at like planning meals now, because I'm intentionally, when I go grocery shopping, not buying just a bunch of shit I don't need.
Yeah.
I'm buying things for the meals.
Only the ingredients that you need for the meal.
I feel like that's a very European thing. Like,
well, it helps that we live so close to a grocery store. Like some people live like 40 minutes away from a grocery store, and I couldn't even imagine like doing that every day round trip just to buy ingredients for one meal, you know?
That's a good point. That's true. But I mean, like even in Arizona, I lived close enough that I could have done that.
Yeah.
But I just didn't. So now I feel like I'm intentionally, okay, what am I making for dinner tonight? Part of the problem is also the fact that the movers threw out half my shit. Yeah. So I don't have a lot of the basic things that I needed that were usually in my fridge. Like even just meat. I'm like, all right, I don't have any chicken. If I want to make a chicken dish, I gotta go to the store again tonight. So that's part of it as well. But, you know, did you know, actually, I found this out recently. Fridges in America, like the full size refrigerators, are known as American refrigerators.
Because they're so big.
Because they're so like, that's not the normal size of fridges outside of the US.
Oh, for sure. I remember when
I did not know that.
I lived in England. It was like an ice box. It wasn't like a full ass, like double doored refrigerator.
Hi, Coco.
Yeah, he's getting fussy, so I gotta wrap it up here soon.
You gotta go feed him.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to go look at plants today or not?
Yeah, I can text you. Let's figure it out. I'd like to leave the house, so
let's do it. We'll make time for it.
Okay. All right, wait. Let me do this because I'm really excited about it. Are you ready?
What? Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Steph and Hayli. What is it? The Steph and Hayli Show, because we don't have a better name for it yet. But
she's excited about this and goes, wait, what's it called again?
Tune in next week because we have our first official super amazing guests plural on our stream. This podcast actually started off as a book club situation, and we have since evolved it since then, but our love for books continue to be a main driving force in our friendship. So we are super excited. Next week, Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific, we're going to have two New York bestselling authors on our podcast to talk about their unreleased book called The Soulmate Equation. Which comes out on the 18th. May 18th. And we're going to have a conversation conversation with them about their old books, their new books, life as authors, and just life in general. Hayli's got some really amazing questions planned out for them. So
I can't fucking wait.
I know. So it'll be really cool. Again, Hayli mentioned this earlier, but there are more of you in here now. This is actually a really big deal for us to have such prestigious guests as our first guests. Hopefully this can kind of cement our podcast in a lot of ways, and we're going to try and get some promotion on Twitch and stuff like that. So if you guys could show up, even if you're not interested in books, if you care about us and you have the time, we'd really love for you guys to be in chat and support us for next week's episode. So we'd love to see you guys there.
Right, whether you read books or not, or whether you read their books or not, they're amazing and you should read them regardless.
They're really funny.
Please come support. They're so funny.
They're really funny, really cool, down to earth women. So I think you guys will really enjoy the podcast. And our best friend Lexi, you guys see her all over our Twitters and social too. She's going to be joining us as well for the conversation. So there'll be 5 amazing, strong, powerful, lovely women on the podcast next week, and you guys should definitely come check it out.
It's going to be so fucking fun.
Amazing.
It's going to be so good. We want you all there. So thank you guys so much for watching. We love you. Have an awesome rest of your day. Yeah. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Love you, boo.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.